Happy Wednesday, everybody. We are back with another episode of Roll Pod. Mike, Alex, and myself, Brett, previewing the Wisconsin matchup. Alabama back in Bryant-Denny Stadium, coming off a 73-0 win over ULM. We've got complete coverage. We got a Roll Pod reaction to that, posted on the YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Alex and Mike have had nonstop coverage. I've got a couple pieces up from kind of the true freshmen that had some good performances. You know, again, we know it was against ULM, but it was an exciting night for them. It was good to hear kind of from people close to them, kind of making their dreams come true, so to speak. But it's time to turn the page again. The Alabama, it's Wisconsin week. Alabama took care of the Badgers on the road last year. What was it 52-3, 55-3? I can't remember. It was something like that. Alabama fans hoping that's the case this week. I don't know if it will be. We'll get into it. Mike, Alex, how are we doing this week?
Fine. I got a nice full night's sleep last night, so that's always good. I'm just getting my body prepared for a nice late start at Georgia in a couple weeks.
You're getting way prepared.
I was going to say you got to get prepared for the 11 a.m. kickoff.
Well, that's easy. I'm already programmed for that. It's the late kicks that kill me. That's what Nick Saban always said. At the end of his career, it was the late night road games that always just got to him.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, as I grow older, I do prefer kind of the noon games, the earlier games than the night games. For sure, might be a hot take with some of my friends. But again, we're getting right into it. As always, both coordinators spoke to the media Monday after ULM. That means Coach Ryan Grubb of the offense and Kane Womack of the defense. We'll start with Kane. I think more of the attention was on him going into the weekend. Coming out of the week on Monday, again, he spoke, was happy, but not happy.
I was going to say, he didn't sound happy.
I'm trying to think of the right. Alex, take it away then.
He sounded discontented. Maybe that's the word.
Deep in the bag.
Yeah, 73-0 is good. But as he said, like, there were things that they're going to have to answer for later in the season. I asked Bray Hubbard about that, and he talked about the rush defense in particular. 12 missed tackles, not good. 12 pressures and no sacks, not just not good, weird. Even Kane said he's never seen that before. So it's not that they played poorly. They played with the emotion that they were looking for. They flew to the football. It looked kind of like what you were used to seeing, but those high-level plays weren't quite there. And I think he more than maybe anybody on the staff is sort of programmed to not be thrilled with any outcome. But I think that was one where he didn't care what the final score was. He saw the tape and knew it wasn't good enough.
Mike, any thoughts to that? Just kind of how he...
Well, I think Kane, I think, is wired this way to begin with, but I think he also knows what Alabama fans want to hear, which is we won 73-0. Here's what we need to do better. And he kind of came out with that sort of energy, like it's not good enough. There's going to be things that get exposed down the road. It was, I think, exactly kind of what people wanted. And again, I think he's kind of wired that way to begin with. I think that was the case last year too. But it struck the right note to me of not just being like, oh yeah, we shut out the opponent and everything's good. And look, I think there's another thing in there that was interesting from Kane talking about the sacks when he was asked about kind of getting from generating pressures, which they had a decent amount of, to sacks, which they don't have a decent amount of. And the first thing I think he said was like, you need to have players who can finish. Mm-hmm. And look, they don't have a lot of those guys. I mean, I think we expected big things out of Quay Russo, but he's not necessarily being used as a straight ahead pass rusher like that. Yeah, exactly. Jamarian Latham played a lot more in that Florida State game at that Wolf position, or started the game at least, and was kind of that sturdier defensive end I think they wanted to go against the run. I mean, LT Overton is the guy that needs to be getting to the quarterback. And as Alex has talked about, just it's not natural for him. It doesn't look right. And then James Smith is probably your best interior pass rusher, but hasn't really shown up in sacks yet either. So that's the lingering question about this defense is can they finish? And I think Kane is certainly, I think he even used the word honestly to begin his sentence. I think he's being honest and saying, I don't know if we have the guys to finish, which they may not.
Yeah.
I think I've come up with the perfect description for LT Overton. He has warning track power. He can get it there, but he doesn't quite get it over the fence. And it's like, it sounds like a negative thing. It's not. You'd hope somebody would be there to finish behind him if he's moving a quarterback off the spot. But they just don't have the guys. I mean, it's LT or nobody right now. And that's a weird spot for an Alabama defense to be. An Alabama defense that a few years ago would throw, Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell at you and had Q Robinson off the bench. Like, they had guys, and they just, I think, Justin Hill will come along, but you can't expect too much from him early. They've got to find a way to hit on some guys who can win one-on-ones. Otherwise, Kane is going to be doing the thing he didn't really want to do much of last year, but had to, which is blitz and really put that secondary on an island. Will that bite them against Wisconsin? Maybe not. Are there quarterbacks later in the year and teams later in the year that could expose that? You're darn right there.
Are you saying that they need to blitz Bama blitz?
Warm.
I
just like guys to get to the quarterback. I mean, whatever it takes.
Kane did make reference to maybe I need to find ways schematically to create pressure, which I think is not even coded language. It's pretty plain language that you need to blitz more.
Yeah.
So
there are ways of sending pressure without sending numbers, but you're doing smoke and mirrors there. It's
right. You can zone blitz, and then people get mad because LT Overton's dropping into coverage and has a pass thrown against him in PFF stats, and people are like, "Why is that even happening?" There's always going to be something that people are mad about, but I think it's a legitimate gripe that Alabama is not able to generate pass rush, and I do think it is something that at some point in the season could very well bite them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to stick on defense, I know there are some injury updates that Kalen DeBoer listed out right before we got on and kicked record. Mike was listening. Mike, the breaking news, Rodak of Roll Pod.
Yeah, just, we're scheduling podcasts right after teleconferences so we can get you the latest information. And in this case, Ryan Williams. No.
Let's stick to defense, and we'll flip all the way to offense.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'll stick to defense. Yeah. So there's, two guys defensively. It'd be Jamarian Latham, who, as I mentioned, started the Florida State game, got hurt in that, did not play last week. Game time decision against Wisconsin. It might be a guy that they could use. I mean, Wisconsin has obviously gone back away from kind of the spread, and they're, I think, trying to get back to their true identity. So I think a guy like Latham could help them. A sturdier Wolf. And then Tim Keenan, that's obviously the big one. Game time decision. My gut says no on him. I feel like that's a situation where you got to use the bye week and get him as ready as possible for Georgia, because I think you really need him against Georgia and, an SEC offensive line across from you. So I just personally would still be surprised if we saw Keenan. And if he plays, I don't think he would play very much. I think
he's more on a pitch count than anything else.
Right.
And it's because my understanding of the tightrope surgery is that once you've done it, the risk of exacerbating the problem is lower, because basically what you've done is stabilize that ankle. It's more, how do you deal with the pain threshold and those kind of things. It's different when you're talking about a 320-pound defensive lineman.
It's a lot of weight on that ankle.
A lot of weight on that ankle.
Something AJ McCarron, as I like to quote our CBS sports analyst a lot, mentioned that he had the tightrope surgery when he was a player. And he said, it's like you can go out there and then there's going to be a point in the game where you feel it. Like the pain just really gets to you. And they have to shoot you up with whatever lidocaine or good stuff that they have. And you get through it. But to me, it's like, why do that against Wisconsin?
I think he's on a pitch count, and I think they monitor him and they hope that the game goes the way they want him to and don't have to use him.
And then
go ahead.
Just Jan Miller would be the other injury. I mean, the collarbone. To me, it's the same thing. Like, it feels like he's close. He feels closer than Keenan, given that Jam was out there warming up, pads, helmet, all that for the ULM game. But it's the same thing. Like, do you want to use the bye week to your advantage and not throw a running back out there who has a collarbone injury? It just seems very hard to avoid contact, with that part of your body. So, it's one of those situations where Alabama needs to win this game. Like, obviously, this coaching staff cannot afford just to slip up against Wisconsin at home. Like, that would be obviously catastrophic. But at the same time, what's after you in terms of the SEC schedule, and that you have the bye week here to use a little extra time. So there's strategically probably some element of let's be careful at this game and use it to our advantage. So,
and that's exactly what Kalen said on Monday. He said we have to be, he said that Jam is chomping at the bit, but that we have to be careful with him. And I think that applies to all the injuries, but especially Jam and Keenan, because you're going to need them. They're two of your more important pieces.
I thought it's champing at the bit.
It is, but he said chomping at the bit. So
right, you're accurately quoting him.
Yeah. I think one thing with Keenan too, and of course you have to win this game, and you like for him to be out there. But is there something to be said as to get a guy like London Simmons and these young guys more and more reps, because they are going to be playing this season with Jeremiah Beeman out?
If they were 2-0, yeah,
right.
They're not.
Yeah. Right.
It goes back. Thought process is gone out the window.
Yeah, and that's why I was kind of just curious to. And then with Jam too, it's like, with the collarbone, and like Jam, we all know it. He throws himself around.
Yeah.
Like that aspect of it also, and it's like, and that's why he is that starter, because he does all those things, and he's a run blocker and all that. Anything else from Womack, or mostly defensive side? I want to talk about Grubb as well. I know he spoke.
I was just going to say, it goes back to what Saban said. Like, we're not worried about expediting the development of anybody. We're worried about winning the football game, which I think this staff certainly needs to do, but there's still a balance there.
Yeah.
Nothing else on Womack, to answer your question. On Grubb, I think the quarterback situation, I feel like situation is a loaded word too.
Why don't you use competition?
They use competition, which has like a lot of weight in that word too. So look, I don't think it's a big deal, but I don't think it's nothing either. I think it's somewhere in the middle, and I don't know exactly where to pinpoint it on the map there, but I don't think don't read into Austin Mack's second quarter at all, because look, they're using the example of Jay Kaner and Ben Wooldridge from Fresno State from 5 years ago. And that seemed like it was legitimately, it was a competition before that, in that fall camp, and they were pushing him. They were pushing Hainer. That was kind of the message. So to extrapolate it forward, like, they're pushing Ty. And I don't think it was a game from Ty that it's such a weird thing, because it's like there's a lot going on in the game, and it's not just Ty, but like it wasn't a perfect game from Ty, and there was a lot in the game that he could
do. 17 for 17.
Yeah,
right.
How much
more
I'm talking about the Florida State game.
I was just kidding.
Talking about the Florida State game.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were talking about
push him.
Yeah.
After that game.
Yeah, ULM, we can kind of, I guess you can't throw it because Keelan and Osmac played, but yeah, no.
And it just happened to be that Ty had a great game against ULM, but there is the train of thought of like, what if he wasn't as good, and then Austin comes in and Austin looks better? And I think we're talking about that more this week than we currently are. I think it certainly helped Ty's case a whole lot that he came out and was firing 17-17 and made this much less of a story than it could have been. So look, I don't think it's nothing. I think it's legitimately the staff still wants to get more out of Ty Simpson, because the first game showed that there's more to be had. But I don't think it's like imminently Austin Mack's potentially your starting quarterback at Georgia. Like, I don't think that's the case either.
There's no leash. I think that's kind of the message, is that if Ty slips, if he's struggling, I think they're going to turn to Austin. I don't think that Keelan is out of the question either, because I'll be honest with you, I thought Keelan looked better than Austin on Saturday. If you look at the way Austin threw the football, he made the right decisions with the football. He just wasn't superbly accurate. And I know the completion percentage says he was, but go look at those throws. They were behind guys. They were, he really limited the yards after catch. Mike wrote about it, and AJ McCarron had a little bit of a beef with the decision. I don't understand why. Like, look, Ty didn't play a great game week 1, And if they need to motivate him by saying Austin's going to get a series, so be it. Like, he's not, wrapped in bubble wrap. Like, he hasn't done anything to deserve that. The quarterback position doesn't have to be that way. It is different than other positions, but you don't have to be that soft about it. Like, if you challenge the guy and he answered the challenge, it worked. Does that mean that Ty is anything less than the entrenched starter? No. But it means that, hey, he knows in the back of his mind that if he doesn't perform at the level they want him to, they're going to make a move. And you know what? That's exactly what they should do, because Ty hasn't shown enough yet to say, hey, if he does slip and fall, he's going to pick himself back up. He's going to have those opportunities, I think. But ULM, was a step in the right direction, but I don't think it absolves him of anything that happened against Florida State.
Right. And I know
back to
go ahead.
Just the coaches have been consistent in their messaging the entire way. Like, Ty won the competition, so but it's still an open competition.
It's not like it doesn't end the moment you name a starter. It's not like he was just named the president of the United States and you have to go to Congress to impeach him. That's not how this works. Like, you just named him the starter because everybody wanted to know who's the starting quarterback. They didn't want to know who is the starting, left guard as badly as they wanted to know the quarterback. And guess what? When that starting guard doesn't play well, they change him out and nobody writes a headline about it. Or we do, but people don't freak out about it. It's different.
Yeah.
It's a little more public maybe, but it's fine. I don't think there's any problem with it.
Right. I know people like to compare things to the Saban era. And look, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Everything is being compared to the Saban era. This is actually something where it kind of aligns with what Saban did. Like, Saban was not very committal to his starting quarterback in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
There's a lot of instances of him flipping guys around in September.
He wouldn't have named a starter maybe, but I think people read a little bit too much into that sometimes.
Right. But, Jalen 2 years ago, it happened. Benched after basically his first real start. So it's actually in line with Saban. And honestly, it's probably less drastic than what Saban did. I think it's just kind of nudging Ty a little bit, and it's not benching him. It's not making a big public scene out of it. I think it's subtle, but it's also still notable enough. I think it's intentional that what they're doing is out there, that they're saying Austin Mack has a chance in the second quarter, that they're using the word competition. I think that's all intentional. And look, I do think, I don't think it's as dangerous as AJ McCarron makes it out to be, in terms of like, it's going to become a division in the locker room and there's going to be uprisings and all that.
Quarterback sensitivity. And I get it. It's different. They've lived it. But the quarterbacks view those things very differently. Right.
Quarterbacks certainly have a psychological disposition to them, to use another Saban term. But I do think there is a risk, not necessarily within the locker room, just kind of the idea of like, you don't have a quarterback. If you're flip-flopping between quarterbacks, you don't know what you have. I do think if you're doing too much of that, there is a little bit of just, you need some consistency. You need the same guy out there. Otherwise, it's just too frantic. It's too chaotic. Like, those would be some of the words I would think of, but
that wasn't what it was. It was one series.
Exactly.
After they're up 28-0. It's not like they were rotating first drive, second drive.
Right.
That's different.
That was my thing. And I'm going to play devil's advocate here. The other thing that I kind of saw coming home is the other way you could do it is, why don't you let Ty finish out the half and then let Mac kind of just go for the third quarter? And I'm just posing the question.
I think it was it was just to get Ty an end to half scenario and see how it performs, because there's a different way you want to operate as a quarterback in those situations. And they said, well, this is the best way they can go do it. Let's go do it. And we'll go right back to Austin afterward.
Right. But I think Keelan Russell is still the guy that we're not talking enough about in terms of at what point.
I didn't say it.
Right. Look, because if this team gets to a point where if you lose, I'd say 2 more games, and there's some losable games coming up, let's be real, like the SEC schedule is tough, then you're all of a sudden, the world is ending, the sky is falling, like everything's happening, and your way out for Kalen DeBoer to sell the future, to sell another year, is Keelan Russell. Like, look at this shiny new toy, look at this 5-star prospect. That's your way out. Like that, it's not Ty Simpson and it's not Austin Mack either. So at what point does the exit ramp. That's not even the right word. I think, what did you say, Alex? Like break glass in case of emergency? Like at what point do you have to do that? Because Keelan is your best sales tactic to everybody. That to me is the question. And obviously the best way to avoid having to get to that situation is by just keep winning. But there might be a point where that comes into play.
That's fair. We're not there yet.
Right.
I did play really well on Saturday. And as Ryan Grubb said in his press conference, he really liked his decision-making and the speed of the game. The game sped up for Ty in a good way. It wasn't split second late on things. We've spent a lot of time on the quarterback competition. I think the more pressing competition is actually at right tackle. And how short of a leash does Wilkin Formby have there? Because Michael Carroll played really well. And the fact that he played more than 20 snaps in that game is indicative of it. And I asked Grubb point blank, does he see it as a competition at 100%? I think they see a lot of positions that way, but I think right tackle is the one that I think bears the most watching in terms of seeing a starter get usurped potentially by a guy, let alone a former 5-star true freshman.
And if we want to be forensic about things, I did have a practice photo from Tuesday with Parker Brailsford. Your right guard was Jaden Roberts, and your right tackle was Michael Carroll with Ty Simpson, the quarterback. So it's just one snap. That's just one rep. But it does indicate that Michael Carroll is going up.
That kind of
plays with juice. That's what they want. They want this team to wake the heck up, and that is a guy who will play with his hair on fire. And I think the hope is that he'll play at a high level himself, but I think that attitude will be infectious for the rest of the team.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Alabama fans have followed him for a while, just kind of coming through the recruiting. That's what everybody said. He's brought that fire. It's just a matter of when is he going to be ready, and it looks like he is ready. It's kind of a good transition into our next, I guess, segment, if you will. You kind of took one of those, Alex, while talking about Carroll and Formby, but that's all right. We're gonna do kind of try another thing out here. It's called More or Less. I'm gonna kind of pose a statement or question, if you will, and then Mike and Alex are gonna kind of say more or less and kind of get into explain it and kind of how a little bit different way to get into this Wisconsin matchup. We'll start with quarterbacks again. Believe it or not, Ty Simpson has 3 total touchdowns on Saturday. Alex, we'll start with you.
Push. I don't think it's more. I don't think it's less. That's a hell of a way to start this segment.
Yeah, come on.
I think 3's the right number. I think he throws for a couple. I think he runs for one. And I think his running ability is secretly like one of his better attributes, especially in the red zone where they don't have that Jalen Milroe cheat code anymore. So I think 3's probably about right. And then you hope that the running backs can pitch in with 1 or 2 more, and you got a little bit of a cushion, and you can win comfortably.
Mike?
3 seems a little high just because I feel like Wisconsin's defense has been pretty good this year. Granted, it's been Miami of Ohio, and Middle Tennessee State. But they've been one of the better defenses in football, college football.
Thank you for the clarification.
Green Bay
I haven't had lunch yet. I need to have lunch to really get my takes firing.
We can do this lunch with Mike.
Yeah, it'd actually be a good podcast.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Look, I think
mouthful of salad.
It just feels like a little bit of a condensed game, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if Wisconsin runs the ball, if Alabama tries to commit to the run better than it did in the Florida State game, it just doesn't feel like they're going to be throwing the ball up and down the field. I could be wrong. I would go under. I'll go 2. But 3's not out of the question by any means either.
Yeah. I got another good segue. I kind of envision a lot of running in this game. I think for Alabama is going to try to run the ball. I put this down before I knew Jam Miller was going to be a game time decision. Let's assume he does play. I put 4 running backs get carries in this game.
I said no going into the Florida State game.
I think we put it at 3 for the Florida State game, and now I'm putting it at 4 just with Jam.
You're saying more than 4?
Yeah. So if you think, I guess we can do 3.5. I guess 3.5 to make it.
Make it a money line.
Yeah.
I think 4 is the number.
Yeah. So more. Okay.
I do think Jam takes at least one snap. And I think you give Kevin Riley gets a look, and then you see what you got. The Richard Young still, I think, has done enough in terms of pass protection and being reliable. He's played early in a lot of games. And then your question is, okay, do you get to A.K. Deer? Do you get to, Daniel Hill, who hasn't really produced at a high level? I think 4 is probably the number in my mind.
Yeah, 4, I think they'll definitely get to it. They've shown a lot of willingness to, kind of rotate through guys. And especially if Jam plays, then, you could get to 5. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. So
I was looking back. Daniel Hill he's like Alex said, he's kind of really dropped out of that. He only had 3 carries last week and 4 the week before, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to see how that's all shaked out. And
they're looking for somebody who can break off explosive runs. And I just don't know that is Daniel Hill's game. And it's not to say he's not a good running back, because he's a physical big guy, but if that's what they're looking for that position, I think Kevin Riley is a much better suited option for it. A.K. Deer, I think, in a lot of sense, is a better suited option for it.
I think you can use Daniel Hill in some aspects, maybe in the goal line at fullback or running back, and that's definitely an SEC play. He's 245 pounds. He's a monster. All right, number 3, sticking on offense. Alex, I think you posed this one. Jeremy Bernard has 5 receptions. Or I think that might have been I can't remember. Jeremy Bernard has 5 receptions. Mike, we'll start with you.
Over. Just keep it rolling, man.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason to stop. I know there's a lot of options. I know Ryan Williams is going to be back and playing, but Ty and Jeremy have that connection they've shown so far. I don't see there's any reason to say no. Jeremy's been over 5 for a while now, I feel like. Look at his game log.
He had 3 last week.
I was going to say,
but
that's why I put it at 5. I wanted to try to.
That's why.
Alex saw it. Alex knew it.
Yeah,
he didn't even play 3 full quarters.
Huh?
He didn't even play 3 full quarters.
Yeah. Well,
it's a little bit different.
It's still only 3 catch.
I think
he had 8 against Florida State. I guess he's been over 4 here for a while. 8 against Florida State, 4 against Michigan, 7 against Auburn, 4 against Oklahoma, 4 against Mercer, 5 against Missouri, 5 against Tennessee, 4 against South Carolina. Like, I feel like he can get to 5 pretty
all right,
easily.
so 4.5 was another good edited line.
He can get there. I do think. I'm just, for the sake of argument, I think 4 might be where he finishes.
Yeah.
But I think there's a touchdown in there. I think there's some explosive plays in there, and I do think they look. If Ryan Williams is going to play, I think they're going to try to get him the football, and I think they're going to try to get Lazio Brooks football. I think they're going to try to get Isaiah Horton football. So just because I'm saying he has 4 doesn't mean he's going to have a bad game. I think he's going to have a good game, but I think they're going to try to spread the ball around.
Yeah. My next one was kind of Jam Miller related, but we kind of talked about it there. We can still pose if you want. We put Jam Miller 10 carries.
I'm going under. I think he's probably more around 7. I think that's probably where I'd look at it.
For the record, Alex threw up 15.
Yeah, well, I was on a walk. We were trying to come up with topics, and I'm just trying to rattle off things. I'm just getting the debate going.
I appreciate
team game.
I wasn't going to take the over on 15.
15's high. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not taking the over on 10 either. I think under 10 is kind of where I'll land on this. I'd be surprised if they bang him around against Wisconsin. Again, based on what I said, that you have Georgia in 2 weeks, and you don't want to lose the Georgia game. You don't want to lose either game, but
can we talk about one thing?
What?
This concept that they went away from the run against Florida State. Are we buying that? I'm not. I don't think that was why they lost that game.
I don't think it's why I think it's true that they did. I don't think that's why they lost.
Yeah, but I don't think it was a bad thing they went away from the run. I don't think they were having that much success after the first drive with it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And this running back group, I think, is by and large pretty average. So if you have better receivers and you have running backs, this fixation with running the football, and I was fixated with running the football all last year. I know that.
You were.
I was.
Why can I talk?
I don't know. Apparently you have like 12 gallons of coffee at lunch because you're off your game right now.
I am. I need to have more, apparently.
But I just – why does anyone think Alabama needs to be a team that runs football 30 times a game? That's not what they're
That's their
built to do.
identity.
No, it's not how they're built. It's not how the roster is constructed this year.
It's not what this coaching staff has done historically. I don't think that's really what they want to do. Like, I think the path that they see themselves to a national title is Ty Simpson throwing the ball to all the talent that they have at wide receiver. It's not Ty Simpson running the ball, and it's not the running backs running the ball primarily. I think they certainly like to have the running game there. They like to have it to set up the play action. But like the main vehicle for this offense to win games is going to be throwing the ball to wide receivers.
And I think the changeup is throwing the ball to running backs more than it is handing the ball to running backs sometimes. And that's why you saw Kevin Riley get as many touches through the air as he did. I think even at 100% Jam Miller, I don't think he's a guy you feed 20 carries in a game. I just don't think that's how it's set up to be.
Yeah. We've talked quite a bit about the quarterbacks, but one more for you. Austin Mack won series on Saturday afternoon in Bryant-Denny. Alex?
For the sake of argument more than anything, I'm going to go under. I don't think that he plays. I think Ty plays well enough that they stick with him the entire game. And I think while it's a game that I think Alabama wins by double digits, I don't think it's necessarily a moment, especially heading into a bye week, where you think, okay, let's call off the dogs, get the starters off the field, and rest up. I think you go start to finish with Ty if you can, if it's set up that way and it's not just a total blowout. So I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I think real quick, just coming up, I think the staff would like to win 73-0 again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if Wisconsin playing ball control offense.
Yeah.
With that.
Mr. Mike?
Sorry, remind me of the question. I was just looking into these Bryant-Denny Stadium renovations that they're going to be unveiling this week, or the plans to renovate Bryant-Denny once again.
More suites. That's just pretty much it, probably. Austin Mack won series, more or less.
You have all the pushes in the world. You need to do like dives on all these.
2 plays.
I'm going to say more because I think they're going to win this game, and I don't have much doubt about that. And I think if they're up by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, then I think Austin Mack gets another opportunity to do a few things. And maybe that's 1 series, maybe it's 2. I think maybe it'll depend on, do you have to go 3 and out and you're back on the field again quickly, or is it a long drive and that's it? That's hard to predict, but I do think as long as the game is comfortable by the fourth quarter, I think Austin Mack will come in again.
Gotcha. Kind of alluded to this earlier. You kind of stole it, but it was who's going to have more snaps, Michael Carroll or Wilkin for me. I know it's a little bit of a reach, but it's worth talking about. He said it was 100% competition. You know how I feel about Michael Carroll. I think everybody's a fan of Michael Carroll. I also think Wilkin Forby is good too, but I think it was 11 snap difference between the two last week. So, Alex,
I think Wilkins still has more snaps in this game.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the split's going to be, but I think Michael Carroll's going to play and play plenty. I think you're going to see him in sort of like a Geno Vandermark rotation a year ago, where he was on every single game basically.
Yep.
But with the exception that I think if Wilkin continues to struggle in any sort of way, again, it's kind of like what I said with Ty. The leash is very short. And if Wilkin commits 2 penalties, he's out.
Yeah.
So I think it's still Wilkin, but it's something we're going to have to continue to monitor probably all season.
Yeah, it's a hard one to predict because I do agree. I think you kind of have to play it by ear. Mm-hmm. I'll go with Wilkin just because he's the incumbent, and I'll grant him some benefit of the doubt on this one. But like I said, Michael Carroll's coming, and if he plays well, you might not get your job back because that's a pretty high-level prospect. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Flipping over kind of defense, kind of in the same vein. And I only did this just because of the snap totals, and Alex may roll your eyes, but Damani Jackson or Dijon Lee more snaps?
Oh, God.
This is the easiest one.
Huh?
Yeah, this is the easiest one.
Yeah, and I'm just
Damani Jackson.
Yeah.
Look, Dijon's going to play, and he's going to play
the question
packages, but
Damani's playing great.
Yeah, Damani's great. Xavier's not coming off the field. Why don't, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let him learn. It's fine. Chill. I feel like that's half my job is just telling people to calm the F down when it comes to
telling me to calm down. It's
fine. When it comes to Dijon Lee. And now it's Lazio Brooks always going to play over Ryan Williams. Get out of here with that.
We have more on that round table. We have more coming on that in the round table, and Alex has a column out on that situation. So I encourage you to read that and maybe come down to earth a little bit. And I am, again, a big Lotier Brooks fan, but come down to earth a little bit. Ryan Williams was a 5-star for a reason.
Can I tee you up on Kevin Riley? I just want you to get angry.
Oh, God.
See? There you go. I love the visceral reaction.
He's fine.
He's
what he did against ULM proves nothing. He's a fastback. Guess what? He's been a fastback since he's got in the building. It's about vision. It's about breaking tackles. And it's really easy to break tackles when the other team isn't very good. So, look, Jam Miller is going to be the number one running back, point blank, period. Mm-hmm. Can Kevin Riley be a good changeup off the bench? Sure. But I don't think he's going to be a guy that gets double-digit carries every single game.
Right.
I don't think he's there yet developmentally, and I don't think that's what Alabama wants to do offensively. He's calm down. I know he's from Northport. Relax.
I think it's still Jam and Richard Young. Like, you can see they're giving it to Richard Young early in the game, like you said earlier.
But they do want their hunting explosive plays, and Richard Young just doesn't give you as much pop as Kevin does. So that's why I'm not saying Kevin's not going to play. I just think people are getting carried away by one game.
Yeah.
Right. And Jam wasn't out there. And I think, yes, Kevin Riley's come a long way from the start of fall camp. He was their 5th running back, and now he's their leading rusher. But people are schizophrenic when it comes to running backs. Like Richard Young went off on a big run at the end of the Mizzou game last year, and all of a sudden he's the next Derrick Henry. Daniel Hill talks about being the next Derrick Henry, and all of a sudden he's the next Derrick Henry. Like, it just calm down.
Yeah, and look, to be fair to Alabama fans, they've been thirsting for a good running back for a while, and they were spoiled for, 15 years with like the most insane depth humanly possible at running back. So I cut him a little bit of slack for that, but look, there's not Derrick Henry on this roster.
No. I'm
not sure there's TJ Yeldon on this roster. Like,
isn't it that fall camp picture with like Derrick Henry and TJ Yeldon and Alvin Kamara and
I was there for that. Yeah.
What was that whole? It was like those 4 and like 2 other dudes that were.
Yeah, Kenyon Drake, I think. Yeah, maybe, if I'm remembering right. Yeah, it was a different time.
Yeah,
they recruited better. I think AK Dare could be really good. I think Kevin Riley has a chance, but I don't think right now.
Yeah,
that's it. Thank you, Mike, for getting my blood pressure.
I just wanted to tee you off on that.
Yeah.
I'll get him going one more time. There's a Xavier Correll coming also. All right, I'm done.
Hey, get all the 5 stars you can because you need a game-breaking running back. It's weird Alabama's gone this long without him.
Yeah, for sure. All right, staying on defense. I may get laughed at for this, but the defense has 1 sack on Saturday. I mean, they've had 1 through 2 weeks, and it's come through the safety. So I know it's ridiculous to put that number at 1, but
the bar is like
they haven't
here. Can we clear that tiny bar of 1 sack? Yes, they'll have 2 sacks in this game. That's where I would put.
Well, they have 3, Alex.
No.
Okay, so 1's not a ridiculous bar.
Yeah, no, it's you're being very kind to them. The curve on this is, look, everybody write down C in multiple choice and you'll get an A. A, they don't have the guys. That's just what it is. B, and probably more importantly, I don't think Wisconsin's going to drop back 30 times.
Yeah.
So to me, the key is tackles for loss. How many of those do you have? If you can get a nice healthy number like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're in a great spot. I just don't think this is a team, for better or for worse, that is built to get after the quarterback.
Right. Wisconsin through 2 games, 59 pass attempts, which is middle of the pack in terms of college football. I mean, Alabama hasn't had teams throw against them so far. So we do have to give some slack to Alabama in terms of there's only been 40 and less than that. What is Alabama in terms of opponents' pass attempts? It's been very low. I wrote it to Brett today. I've already forgotten the number. Because
they got right in front of the quarterback against ULM 12 times, though.
Right. The combined 32 pass attempts between ULM and Florida State are tied for the 4th fewest against any FBS team so far this season.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's
so there hasn't been a whole lot of opportunity.
Right.
the teams haven't thrown. I don't think Wisconsin's going to throw. I don't think that's Wisconsin's path to success. I think Wisconsin's path to success against Alabama is running straight up the fucking middle of the field, because that is where Alabama is probably the weakest. That's what Florida State showed, especially if Tim Keenan doesn't play or isn't 100%. So if that's Wisconsin's identity, I think they're going to go down with that. So I just don't see the sacks being high. I don't see 3 sacks being the number, but I don't necessarily see sacks as being the determining factor for the defense in this game. I think it is, how does the interior of your defense hold up, and is that better than Florida State? But 3 sacks is a big number for this defense, which, like you said, only has 1 so far this year. The last time this defense had 3 sacks was Tennessee.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This only sack is from Keon Sabb, right?
Yep, it is.
Yep. All right, moving on. Kind of, we've talked about tackling a lot on the show. I think they had 14 missed tackles in the first week and 12 last week, I believe it was.
It's a subjective number, but it sounds right. In terms of PFF's tracking, that's what it's been.
Okay, right. I'm just saying, for the sake that the defense has 10 missed tackles. The answer is they can't afford it, but for the sake of this argument?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it's under, because I don't think Wisconsin's going to run the quarterback in a way that sort of creates those. Yeah. I'm going to say under, but I'm not super confident in it, because it's a trend. Unfortunately, at this point, is the poor tackling is a trend.
Yeah, I don't know. Wisconsin is a little bit of a mystery to me offensively, because they're different from what they were last year. I have not sat there and watched them play Miami, Ohio, or Middle Tennessee. I'm sorry.
Around that tape, Mike.
So I just don't know what their personnel is really like. I don't think they have a lot of shifty talent on the outside. I mean, they can correct me if I'm wrong in that, but I mean, I think Cade Yakimelli is really the guy that would have the potential to make you miss a tackle. He seemed a little bit like a bowling ball last year.
You're getting put up in the Wisconsin locker room. That soundbite.
No, they can. They can play this before the game. It's not a slight. It's not my job to know. I'm not a coach, and I don't know what their personnel is like. So I don't spend my time this week breaking down Wisconsin tape. And if somebody wants to pay me to do that, maybe they can. But I'm not being paid to do that. So that's not what I've done.
100%. To wrap it up, and I don't know if you guys have thought of any on the spot or anything like that, but I'll put the number at 4. 4 freshmen will play on Saturday.
And you're not including special teams. I think definitely some more planned than that.
Right.
I'm going to go with higher, because I think right off the bat, I can tell you Caleb Edwards is going to play. London Simmons is going to play. Dijon Lee is going to play. Tier Brooks is going to play. Michael Carroll's probably going to play. That's 5 right there. And I think London Hill actually is a player in this team. He's a walk-on corner. Justin Hill, the linebacker, I think is going to play. Who else could I see? Ivan Taylor, maybe on defense. Get a couple snaps. I don't know.
Steve, if you want to count,
it'll be more, but it won't be as many as you saw against ULM.
Yeah,
right. I think 6 is a pretty attainable number in that regard.
Final thoughts on the matchup before we get into some real quick national picks, because it's a pretty good slate this weekend. But Alex, Mike, anything before Alabama plays Wisconsin at 11 a.m. on Saturday?
I think this is a test for Alabama and their mentality, that you got slapped in the face week 1, and now everybody's singing your praises after week 2. Does rat poison creep in? Do you let off the gas? Coaches and players are all saying the right thing. It was 1 game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. You got to take that onto the field and show, because, again, as I wrote immediately after that Florida State game, the benefit of the doubt is gone. So you got to show it every single week before we start talking about what the Alabama standard is anymore. So to me, more than, what the defense puts on the field, what Ty Simpson does at quarterback is, can you replicate the energy we saw in Saturday night? And, it's harder to do at 11 a.m. Mike and I will have been awake for several hours, but it's different for college kids. So we'll see how they handle that and what they bring to the sideline and onto the field.
Well, and when they're door dashing till 2 a.m., it's a really quick turnaround.
I thought When Mike was typing fervently, I thought he was door dashing a giant Caesar salad.
I was told, yeah,
Nick Kelly, I don't eat salads.
11 a.m. kickoff. Saban's teams were asleep by 7 p.m. is what I was told.
So by 7 p.m., did they dose them?
I'm just kidding with you. We talked about that last pod. I just had another joke out on that. But Mike, any last final thoughts on the Badgers?
Back in my day, we didn't have DoorDash. We didn't have TikTok.
Other things got delivered to the door.
True. No, I don't have any final thoughts other than I predict Alabama will win this game by roughly the spread. I think 38-17 was the number that I gave both you and Nick Osen from our Badgers 247 site, which is, the spread I think is actually up to 20.5 now. So I guess that's 19. But I think that's generally what I feel like this game will be. And this team plays better at home. This team plays better when they're kicked in the ass. And I think they're still feeling the most recent kick. So it's not about this game for me as much as it's about what happens after this, because after that, all bets are off. Every single game after this, minus Eastern Illinois, I don't know about every single one. I have no idea.
Yeah. Let's do some real quick national picks. If we have a minute, we'll just rattle them off. Again, kind of a good slate. Tennessee versus Georgia. The game is in Knoxville. Alex?
I wouldn't put my money on this game because I don't know.
Yeah.
I would have told you before the season that I don't believe in Tennessee, that I think all the drama built up. They lost too many players, and then they go out and they score like 400 points in the first 2 weeks. And I'm having to maybe reassess that Joey Aguilar is a good quarterback. But it's Georgia, and Georgia dominates that rivalry. And people are freaking out over how they looked against Austin Peay. I don't think anybody actually watched that game. I think they just looked at the final score and said, wait, that wasn't halftime. Kirby's teams they do that all the time. Remember there was a game against UAB a few years ago where they just kind of played with their food for a while. So I'm going to go with my gut, which is Georgia. And I think Gunnar Stockton just grinds his way to a few touchdowns. My head is saying Tennessee, but my gut is saying go Georgia.
Yeah, and you pull that. We talked about it on this pod before, but Kirby gets to pull an underdog card. Especially, I don't know if I'm going to bet against that. Mike, real quick.
That's a tough one. Honestly, it's a toss-up.
There's a couple of those these weeks.
Tennessee's better than what I think they are, but I think Georgia's also better than what they've looked. And I'll go with Georgia because until proven otherwise is my take on them. Yeah.
Next up, I think one that Alabama fans will probably pay attention to. I'm not sure what time it's at, if they can watch at the same time, but South Carolina Vandy in Columbia. Alex.
This is tough because I think South Carolina is a little overrated.
Yep.
I think they've been a little sloppy, but I don't think the wheels come off this early. Again, I would not put my money on this game because Diego Pavia is a menace. He's just a menace. I'm going with South Carolina, but very hesitantly.
Yeah, give me South Carolina, but I don't think Vandy's out of it, and I think they're still formidable. So that's where I'm at.
I'm going to take clean sweep. I'm going to take South Carolina as well. Notre Dame, Texas A&M. In Notre Dame, do we talk about Texas A&M in a different light coming out of this weekend, Alex?
Yes. I think Texas A&M wins this game. I think Texas A&M is built to handle a team like Notre Dame because they're kind of like both teams want to win at the line of scrimmage. And Texas A&M's got a lot of talent in the trenches on both sides of the football. I give them the edge. Do I think that means they are a contender in the SEC? I still think you put a pin on that. I don't know. I haven't seen enough, but I think this is a game they win. And all those people who have been – there are a lot of people pumping up A&M for like the last month. I think they're going to get another week to sort of do that and take a victory lap. But, I'm going with A&M.
Give me Notre Dame. I think at home, it feels like they're still a good team. And I know they lost to Miami. I know A&M, this feels more together than what they were, put together than what they were under Jimbo. I think Mike Elko is this feels tightened up more. And they're not as volatile, but I don't know. I just don't know about A&M. I don't know about Marcel Reed. There's just something missing there for me. I don't see him going up there and winning.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Notre Dame as well, just because it's at home. No other really reason. Clemson, Georgia Tech. Clemson, not Mike. We'll let you start.
You know what am I?
Clemson's your team.
Yeah, I mean Jake from Spartanburg, where the hell he's from.
Yeah.
Whoever, Tyler from Spartanburg.
Yeah,
Jake
Tyler. I was going to say Jake from State Farm.
He can hoot and holler, but at the end of the day, Dabo Swinney is going to rise again, and Clemson is going to rise again. So don't you worry about Clemson.
Where's the game? Is it in Atlanta?
Atlanta. Yep.
All right, give me the Yellow Jackets. I think Kate. There's something wrong with Kate Klubnik. I think Georgia Tech is going to try to handle the football, not give Clemson opportunities on offense. I think they keep it really close, and I think at the fourth quarter, Dabo's Fighting Tigers fall all over themselves, and the Yellow Jackets get the victory.
I'm gonna go Georgia Tech as well as our Atlanta correspondent. I would be remiss if we did not let you guys give another Billy Napier take, because I feel like every podcast in the world is giving Billy Napier take. So Florida LSU, Alex.
Gators.
Oh my gosh.
Gators. Look, that loss was terrible. Guess what? South Florida is really good. I mean, they're really good. They're a good program that scared the hell out of Alabama 2 years in a row. I think what happened to Florida is not dissimilar from what happened to Alabama at Florida State. They played a terrible game. They were listless. They made stupid mistakes. But I think it was a wake-up call. I think LSU is potentially not as good as everybody thought coming out of the win at the other Death Valley. The game being in Baton Rouge gives me a little bit of pause, but if anything, I think it gives them the us against the world thing. And look, I'm going with talent. I think DJ Lagway figures it out. I think Eugene Wilson. I think they got dudes, and I think they come off the mat and they win one for Billy. It's my gut. I'm not sure it's based a whole lot in reality, but I think Florida's better than than one game. I really do.
Mike?
LSU. I like them this year. I'm warming up to them.
Okay.
I think if things continue from what we've seen so far, I think LSU could be favored when they come to Tuscaloosa in November.
They're the team with the highest ceiling in the SEC, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with what Alex said. I'm going to go Florida. They're going to get off the mat for old Billy. I don't think Florida fans want. Like, it's weird. You talk to them like, do they want them to win? Because then Billy stays, and that whole AD, that's a whole situation.
It's like an on-again, off-again relationship they feel like they can't get out of.
Right.
1 minute they have hope, and the next minute it's dashed. I think they get a little bit more hope, and maybe it's the old dead count bounce, but I think there's at least one more big win left in Billy Ball.
Yeah. Final one to wrap it up, and then we will say goodbye until our recap on Sunday. But Alex, you mentioned USF. You think they're very good. Are they that good? USF, Miami. What is your pick, sir?
Close game, but I think Miami figures it out.
Yeah.
The thing about USF is they won that game, but they didn't score a lot of points. Their offense wasn't particularly great. They're a little bit one-dimensional. I think the fairy tale comes to an end a little bit. I still think they're going to be a problem and a team that potentially could be competing for a spot in the playoff as that G5 school. But no, give me the Hurricanes.
Mr. Mike?
Yeah, I've said it before. I'm a Carson Beck believer.
Mm-hmm.
And he's right there in the Heisman race again. And I think his problem with Georgia was some of his receivers that could not catch the pass. And he's a damn good quarterback. Yes, he's a little bit erratic. Had some turnover issues last year, but I like him. And I'll give me the Hurricanes.
He's good. He's not a damn good dog anymore, but he's a good quarterback. We'll see if he's a damn good quarterback.
I always like putting you on the spot. This is Mike's fault for mentioning Heisman. Who is your Heisman pick right now, Alex?
Nobody. There's no Heisman right now. I'm
Just
sorry.
say John Mateer.
I was going to say John Mateer.
You are an Oklahoma
I know. I've been
super
doing
fan.
it, Boomer. I know. Look, I like it, but he had a good game. I think it's still too soon. I think it's the most wide open race. There hasn't been a guy take it yet, and normally there's a September Heisman. It's always a thing. I don't think we really have that guy who's created separation yet.
And I also think it's to your point, it's like one of the favorites is pretty like Jeremiah Love. He's not. So it's like it's pretty open. It's
Lenore Sellers just had pedestrian numbers. Kate Klubnik falling off a cliff.
March.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Nussmeier's my pick now, but Nussmeier could shit the bed.
Even Nussmeier's numbers
did last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bo Perbula. They got easy schedule.
Oh God, no.
That is a good ending to our.
Caleb Downs is still my pick.
Alabama fans don't like that pick. Don't like that pick very much. Jeremiah Smith. He's not gonna make. He won't do it either. All righty, that is a good way to end it. I will click our outro. Thank you guys for a loaded show. Thanks for listening. You can listen to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Bama247. We'll be back Sunday after the game. Maybe Saturday afternoon. Who knows?